You know what? It's all about me today, just kidding. I'm gonna give this to you.
That's a good idea.
And I'm gonna do this one. Yeah.
How are you all? My name's Colin, what's yours? Come on, my name's Colin, what's yours?
Amelia!
Right, I heard Mary there, so you are now all called Mary. I'm Mary. What a lot of you there are. Shall we count? 1, 2, 3. That'll fill the hour, won't it? See what you've done to me? At the end of 2.5 days here, I'm on the Red Bull.
Well,
You're exhausting but lovely. I'm enjoying Canada enormously. It's my first ever convention here in Canada. I've been here once before. I did a film in Montreal about 7 or 8 years ago with Emmanuel Béard. Do you know who I mean? Yes, called Les Trois Mousquetaires. And I spent about a week in Montreal, and that's the only other time I've been to Canada. So this has been fantastic, because everyone said to me, you will love Toronto. And I have. And I have. And all I've seen is an airport, a hotel, and a convention centre. But like anywhere, it's the people that matter. So thank you for making me so welcome.
Guinness World Record, this attempt to break it, the largest gathering of Daleks. What was it like being surrounded by all those Daleks?
Well, I have met a few Daleks before. I've never met such a variety of Daleks before. I've small Daleks, big Daleks, real Daleks, pretty Daleks, even pretty Daleks.
That would have been fun.
No, it was a special event, and I've now got 2 world. Does it count that I was there? Do I have a world record too?
Yes, I think
for
so.
Being there, because I did a program in Australia for British television called "I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here," and we all had to have a go at breaking a world record. And I broke the world record for telling the most jokes in 10 minutes. So I'm quite proud of that. So now I've got the most jokes in 10 minutes and the most Daleks gathered in one place.
Yeah.
Thank goodness CGI doesn't count. Otherwise you wouldn't have a chance, would you?
Well, today, all year we're talking about the 50th anniversary of Doctor Who, but this is actually the 30th anniversary of when you first appeared on Doctor Who as Maxwell the Guard. In Arc of Infinity. I've heard, though, that you were a little bit hesitant about taking that role.
That's very true. Actually, I think it's the 32nd of, because I played Maxwell 81, 82-ish.
Okay.
So I started doing...
Over 30 years.
Yeah, so it's longer than 30 years. Yes, I was slightly hesitant because my agent rang me up and said, would you like to play the part of a guard in Doctor Who? And I said, oh, must I? He said, why? I said, well, I'd always read that they only cast the Doctor from people who had not been in the programme before. And my agent, he's still my agent amazingly, said, well, they're not going to ask you to play Doctor Who, are they? Which I thought didn't show a lot of confidence in his actor. And the dates worked out perfectly. It was 3 episodes with Peter Davison, and I thought, oh well, I might as well. And isn't it lucky that I did? Because as a result of doing that, I met John Nathan Turner, who was then the producer, and found my performance as Maxwell the Guard so striking that he felt obliged to say to me, in the old days when we did television, we used to rehearse it like a play. So you rehearsed the whole thing, then you went into a studio for a day and a half and blitzed it. Nowadays, of course, you do it scene by scene, it's quite different. But back then, they used to rehearse it all, and then the producer would come and watch a dry run of the whole thing. And at the end of it, he came over to me and said, are you under the impression that this programme is called Maxwell the Guard? I said, no. He said, what do you think it's called? I said, Doctor Who. And he said, would you mind letting Peter have some of the screen? Because I was Well, it's always struck me that nobody is an extra in their own life. You are all the leading person in your own life, aren't you? You're sitting there surrounded by other people, but this is your place you're in. And I thought Maxwell felt the same. Why should he be respectful to this doctor person? So we had a laugh about that, and he asked me to tone it down a little bit and to allow Peter some acting room, and I generously allowed Peter to do his acting as the doctor. And then a few months later they asked me if I'd like to play the part. So it goes to show, doesn't it, that take every opportunity. It never occurred to me for a second that would happen. But a few months later, John invited me to come and have lunch with him, and even then it didn't occur to me that he was going to offer me the part. But I think I might be the only doctor who never even had to do a screen test. Wow. I was just offered it, which was quite nice.
How the sixth doctor was portrayed, that we were seeing a different doctor that we saw with Peter.
Yes, well, I mean, for very obvious reasons. Tom Baker had been a very forceful, high-energy, dominant doctor. So they made the decision to have the next doctor and his regeneration. He was kind of shattered by regenerating and was carried by his 3 companions. He needed 3. I only managed with 1, didn't I? For several episodes, Peter was kind of, weakened by his regeneration. And he was a kind of sweet, young, preppy kind of guy. So at the end of his term, they opted for a contrast. And what greater contrast can you have than a vainglorious, dominant, multicoloured buffoon? Perhaps I'm exaggerating slightly on the buffoon bit, but the plan was to offer a doctor that people might go, wow, that's not my doctor. He was very brave. And they asked me if I was up for it, and I said yes, because I thought I would have plenty of time to win everybody over. It's a bit like my favourite character in fiction is the character of Darcy in Pride and Prejudice.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Now, for 9/10 of that book, we all hate him. But he is the only really principled person in the story. But he doesn't feel the need to ingratiate himself with others. And I liked that as a kind of template for my doctor. That he did what was right, and he cared passionately about things, but didn't always feel necessary to indulge in the niceties of polite human behaviour. Where my doctor was subjected to a brain-damaging machine, and during that story, I virtually tortured Perry. And when I got the script, I said to the script editor, hang on a minute, did this really happen? Because there were 3 possibilities, because it was being used as evidence in my trial. So they showed this on the screen, and was it a lie, and I'd never done it? Or was it, I was pretending to do it to save Perry's life? Or was it the third option, which was the brain machine had really affected me, and I didn't know what was going on? Because you couldn't tell from the script. And the script editor said, I don't know, you'll have to ask the writer, Philip Martin. So I asked Philip Martin, and he said, I don't know, the script editor put that bit in. So I made my own decision on it. I talked to the producer, and he said, how do you want to play it? I said, I will play it as if the whole thing is a lie. It's tainted evidence from the Matrix. Pay attention. I said it was complicated. So I played it full out, because it was a lie. But it was quite difficult for some of the audience to understand that. And given the fact that my doctor had already strangled her in the first episode after his regeneration, it kind of left a taste in everyone's mouth that the 6th Doctor was violent and unpleasant. But in fact, he wasn't. So there. A well-dressed boy.
That looks familiar.
It's on you all day. So, Mr. Baker, you have a favorite audio you did?
Favorite audio? It's very difficult, you know, because I mean, it's a bit like being, as I've said when people said to me today, what's your favourite picture? It's like saying, who's your favourite daughter? Because you look at one and think, oh, I like her, I like her as well, I like her. I've got 4 daughters. So, favourite audio, if I name one, and then 5 minutes later somebody will mention another one, oh, I like that one too. But there were 1 or 2 that I remember that I really liked. There was one I did with Evelyn, and it was quite a romantic one really. What was it called? See, I'm terrible on names of stories, but it was one of Evelyn's last ones, and it was called
Arrangements for War.
Thank you very much. I should know that. If I go to a convention, there's always someone who knows more than I do. Arrangements for War. And it was the scene at the end with the young lovers meeting on the bridge with Evelyn. It was just, I thought, very poignant, and I liked that. But I like all the ones I do with Davros. Davros for me in the series, who refused to come out because they had left the label stuck to his apple when he bit into it. And he said he couldn't possibly work that day. I won't name him. That's not my kind of actor.
Well, thank you for not being that kind of actor.
As a doctor, which one would you say is the most frightening and why?
Michael Grade, who was controller of BBC One, was axed to when I was halfway through doing it, and then a year later ordered a replacement of the Doctor, which made Sylvester McCoy appear. However, there's one thing I have to share with you, because I know you can keep a secret. Sylvester McCoy is allegedly the 7th Doctor. Did I appear in the regeneration scene? No! Therefore, I have not regenerated. Therefore, Sylvester McCoy is an imposter, and all those who follow him. He started a new line of doctors. He's the first of a new line of doctors. I am the surviving original Doctor. Which means I have been the Doctor for 30 years. Which beats all the records. Are you my army? Will you march with me? Love ya!
Okay, with the top hat.
Now, as we get closer to the 50th anniversary, something that has been happening at cons with doctors have been the reading of speeches from Doctor Who as of different doctors. So I was wondering if you could read a speech by the Doctor from a recent episode as the 6th Doctor.
By all means. If I like it.
It's really interesting.
So the Rings of Akhenaten was which Doctor?
11.
Oh, Matt! Oh, Matt's good, I like Matt. So this is actually the 6th Doctor, is it? Okay then. I'll tell you a story. Can you hear them? All these people who've lived in terror of you and your judgment. All these people whose ancestors devoted themselves, sacrificed themselves to you. Can you hear them singing? Oh, you like to think you're a god, but you're not a god. You're just a parasite eaten out with jealousy and envy and longing for the lives of others. You feed on them, on the memory of love and loss and birth and death and joy and sorrow. So come on then, take my memories. But I hope you've got a big appetite, because I have lived a long life and I have seen a few things. I walked away from the last great time war. I marked the passing of the Time Lords. I saw the birth of the universe, and I watched as time ran out, moment by moment, until nothing remained. No time, no space, just me. I walked in universes where the laws of physics were devised by the mind of a madman. I've watched universes freeze and creations burn. I've seen things you wouldn't believe. I have lost things you will never understand. And I know things. Secrets that must never be told. Knowledge that must never be spoken. Knowledge that will make parasite gods blaze. So come on then, take it. Take it all, baby. Have it. You have it all. I would be sitting, you're always sitting here going, why are we in this room if it wasn't for Patrick Troughton? Because someone, and it's lost in the midst of time who it was, said, hey, why don't we have this thing called regeneration? So when a doctor says, actually I want to go and do something else now, I'm 3 years of doctorate, I want to go and be in another program. But the program doesn't end. We can get another doctor to take his place. And in the wrong hands, that could have been the end of the program, because he made it work. He was a wonderful, talented character actor. And I was lucky enough to know him separately, because in my first 4 or 5 years as an actor, I shared a flat with his son, David Troughton, who you probably know from Peladon and whatever those other ones are. Young David and I was his best man when he got married, and so I met Patrick then. So I knew Patrick, but not as an actor. Excuse me. So to work with him was fantastic, because he was very kind. Because I think were I ever to work with a younger actor, it might not occur to me. I might think, well, they probably don't need me to say I think they're good. But Patrick felt he could say that, and was kind about my performance, which I quite liked. And it was very generous, because some of the doctors were a bit kind of mock envious of each other, shall we say. I mean, we're all good friends, but there is a certain amount of friendly rivalry. But Patrick was very spontaneous and very generous. And we got to film the only decent foreign filming I ever did in Seville, in Spain. And we had a problem because the wigs and makeup got lost and apparently got sent to Stockholm or somewhere. And so we had 2 days in Seville, in a rather nice hotel with a swimming pool and a bar. And Patrick and Nicola Bryant and myself and Fraser Hines sat by the pool and had a few drinks while they got the makeup and wardrobe sorted. So it's hell being an actor, you know. And I had to play this stupid game in the swimming pool called Doctors and Companions, where the doctor stands in the pool and the companion sits on his shoulders and you wrestle. And I had Nicola Bryant on my shoulders. Poor old Patrick and Fraser. I won.
Okay, yeah, right there. Oh, okay, so we'll go right to you right after, okay? So who's the one that just said their question? Repeat it one more time, yeah? Oh, yeah. Your thoughts on Peter Capaldi, the 12th Doctor.
Oh! I think it's an excellent choice. Anyone who's seen him in the series that he's best known for might be a little nervous at the thick of it, which is a political series where he plays a kind of unscrupulous backstage manipulator in the political world, and where his language is, well, there are some English words in between the expletives. Well, actually, I find it rather odd that he's been cast, but I've seen him in loads of stuff, and he has the right feel for it. What I like about it is you've got a grown-up again. When they cast Matt Smith, I thought, oh my gosh, he looks 12. Of course, he looks 12 going on 900. Because, I mean, I thought he was phenomenal, because he was ageless, and old, and young, and middle-aged, all at once, and wonderfully kind of random and exciting. So the age was irrelevant in that case. And of course, having had David Tennant, who got 1 million girls, he's also a very fine actor, but he certainly, I would say that the programme was watched predominantly by males in Britain until David Tennant came along. To a certain extent, Christopher Eccleston before him. The doctors have been older, but Peter Capaldi is the same age as William Hartnell was when he started. Now, if you look at pictures of William Hartnell, you realise how aging has changed in 50 years. What we thought of as old when I was young, I would think of myself as dead. When I was 18, looking at someone of my age. Now, you've got to be 90 before you look that old. It's a tribute to healthy eating and exercise. An awful lot of pills. So we have Peter Capaldi, who looks 20 years younger than William Hartnell did. And I am only excited and looking forward to seeing what he does. Because I think it will, having that kind of senior authority will do something for the role of the Doctor to take it in a new direction, which will be exciting. New Doctor is all this lovey-dovey nonsense. All this snogging in the TARDIS. You know, kissy-missy, huggy-wuggy. That is not the Doctor. I'm sorry.